Hello and good evening, everybody. Sorry I'm a minute late. Rescue decided he wanted to come and definitely needed to be on my lap, so I'm a little distracted with a elderly cat who got vaccinated yesterday, deciding that he needed my immediate and undivided attention. So I hope everyone's doing well, and happy Remaster Day. I've decided to forego tea for today and make myself some hot chocolate with whipped cream. So first things first, because Tikale sort of pointed out maybe we should talk a little bit about Extra Life because it is kind of a big deal for us. Here's where we stand right now. The team, $12,500, which is a little bit more than $1,100 than the last stream that I did. We got a ton of donations, I think entirely because of Tikale and the Reddit post a couple of days ago. I know I got a bunch and Shark got a bunch. So thank you all for keeping donating. We're amazingly close to hitting the team goal for the year. And Shark is getting really, really close to that $10,000 mark. So just fortuitously, I went to the mailbox about 20 minutes ago and these showed up. So I got cool dice trays, which I think was actually a reward from last year that's kind of showed up late. But thank you to Eric O over at Extra Life who made that happen. But the most important thing actually showed up today as well. This is one that's kind of like a Lifetime Achievement Award for Extra Life. So that's $10,000 raised. And that's entirely because of this amazing and awesome community. This is $10,000 over the course that I've run this. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out one kind of small thing. Someone else on the team is very, 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 very close to that lifetime goal. So you see Shark here is 6,681 for the year. However, for his overall lifetime, he's just about $9,700, so 300 and something dollars away. We still have, I want to say 46 days left in the fundraiser. So if you've been delaying, I want to say this is an excellent Christmas present or some sort of selling point, selling feature. It's not. It's kind of cool to do. But there you go. If you need more incentive, make Shark feel very, very much loved. And I will say that there are two people, both of whom are on our fundraising team, that deserve the bulk of the credit for everything that you're going to get to experience a little bit later today. So on the coding side, Shark has been working for pretty much 2-3 days. I won't say flat out because he does have a real job, but almost all of his spare time has been getting the remaster ready. It is not to be understated, but if there's one person who's really truly driven this entire endeavor to get the remaster material in, it's certainly Tikale. You know, he took to heart the title of data entry lead, and let me see if I can. I didn't plan on this. If I was smart, I would have done this and I would have pinned that post. I want to recognize the people who have been helping him make sure that everything's ready. So the people who should be called out for the excellent work in really, really helping this project along. I'm just going to go by the Discord names that I've got. Ambrose M, Darkblade 1983, Dogstar B, Ethan, Intervexion, Mechamaya, Miraculous Water Bottle, and obviously Tikale himself. To the group of you, thank you so much. We've had a little bit of lead time. It would have been amazing to have more. I'm glad to Paizo as well for really getting us the material early and helping us through this. I remember the Advanced Player's Guide. We got that dropped at about 2 a.m. the day of release. I spent the next 2 days off of work entering data to get it out 48 hours after. And I think that was the last time we really sort of missed a deadline for getting the system out, at least within like a 24-hour period of a book being released. It was kind of a point of pride for the team to be able to say that, hey, we managed to get this out and we're just a bunch of volunteers. And I really do think that helped grow the Foundry community. So to see the community really stepping up, everyone who had access to their books, when the subscribers got them, and I'm going to say they all must have been subscribers to get it and to push forward. Amazing help. And special mention to Andrew White and the design team over at Paizo. We threw a lot at them. Some of it, the community, I want to point out the spreadsheet that the community made that put together, that went to the Paizo design team. And the errata today that came out at about 1 o'clock-ish, my time, so I guess 3 o'clock Eastern and noon Pacific, something like that. Sometime around then, the errata came out, and they were still adding errata to the first release a half hour before. So thank you to the design team for really clarifying a bunch of things. Everything that we put in, we tried to get right, or at least as right as we can. We got guidance for most things. We don't like to editorialize, and we had to make a couple of calls, but pleased with the end result. So we hope that you'll all be pleased too. Additional sort of bonus thanks to Dogstar who is taking on the mantle of getting the legacy modules set up. So any of the things that we stripped out of the system will still be available in a legacy module. You'll have to add the module and install it yourself. It's been turned on by Foundry, but we just need to fix up the package repository, and it'll be available for everyone to put in if you were looking for old things that haven't been changed. But with that, why don't we swap over to the things that have been changed? So going in, first thing you should know is all the remaster changes have been lovingly detailed for you. So if you can't find something, here's where to look. Here's our Remaster Changes journal. You can get it here from the Remaster Changes button under the system in the settings. And just to give you an idea of how this process went, this is a big update. Before you install it, I do want to warn you, there's going to be a lot of migration to it. We're not forcibly migrating a lot of things, but some things need to change just for the system to work, so give it time. Additionally, if you are super worried or super concerned, I wouldn't be. This is mostly data entry. There shouldn't be any huge conflicts, and I'm sure that those of you who install it right away will notice them and let us know. We'll almost assuredly have a 0.1 release bug fix coming out sometime either before the weekend or this weekend. So yes, if you do find errors, please do report them. We'll do our best to get them fixed. I'm kind of just thinking off the top of my head right now, but it might be worthwhile for us to create a temporary chat channel or a thread to drop them in, rather than opening several hundred issues. So we have had the rules for a while, and we've had a lot of lengthy internal discussions. We've talked to Paizo as well. Why didn't we include absolutely everything? Why didn't we just make duplicates of things? We want the data to be complete. We're sort of proud of the fact that Paizo publishes the system free of charge. With the rule changes, though, there's certain things that just didn't make sense to be there anymore. We're not going to store both pre and post errata versions of things because it's going to get things confused. It's like, why would you have Longstrider and Tailwind? They're the same thing, just renamed. The reason that we don't just store infinitely and why we've instead opted either to rename, if we just rename, then all of the automation itself just simply works. But if there are things that would just be unnecessarily duplicated, this would affect the loading time for those of you who end up using things like the Forge. This would increase the amount of space that's taken up. There's a lot of really good reasons not to have absolutely everything in. So we had to make some of those hard choices. We've also pulled out a couple of variant rules. Reason being is there's things that modules can do better and things that the system can do better. There's some things that we hacked in at the very start of the system that just simply weren't good code, and modules can simply do it better. So that stuff we've either moved off to the workbench or the tool belt, and that's kind of been detailed elsewhere. But this way, it's being maintained by a separate person who can really devote the attention that it needs and not let things sort of degrade. We try and keep the core code very, very constant, very, very clean. That way, you get the experience that you're expecting. And is it an ideal thing for us to remove stuff that was built into the system? No, but again, we have to make some tough choices. And that's unfortunate. I know that not everyone's going to like that. I know not everyone's going to be pleased, but it's unfortunately necessary. So the other thing is we want this remaster to mean that you can still onboard new people. And if we had everything sort of duplicated or things that didn't quite make sense under the new version, or you have to choose one of two, new players may just not understand. They may not be able to find it. Somewhere like Archives of Nethys, where it hosts all the information, they can afford to have two databases and just serve from one or the other. We can't really do that. Forking the system's a really, really bad idea because then we have to update two sets of code, maintain different compatibilities. It just doesn't make sense. What you should know about this, though, is first, any existing actors that you have in your world are not going to be forcibly updated. They'll keep their old spells, class features, or feats. None of that's going to change, except for things that need to change for automation to remain working. You know, if you are currently using something like Power Attack, you're still going to have Power Attack. If you want to change it over, you can drag and drop the new feat. Now, certain things like alignment are just simply going to disappear with this upgrade. I think we've already turned it off, in fact. So when you look at Kyra, no more alignment. It's just gone because it's no longer part of the system. It exists in the back end. It exists as traits. That's how things will be migrated forward. So it's not like anything was lost, but all of the damage that goes along with alignment, it's just not going to work anymore. I will note that any NPCs in upcoming Orc license-related releases won't have any alignment. Any that are still being entered now will have the alignment coded in, and it'll be stored as a trait, and it'll be in the back end. That way, if you are playing an old system and you turn on the legacy module, then all of this should still work. We've also taken the position that the remaster itself is just a really, really large errata. Yes, you know, there's the aspect that, well, it's a whole new book, and realistically, it's just a book of errata. As the system updates, we will continue adding anything. So, sort of the rules of the game that we went by, some items are just removed from the system. We kept as much of the things that are mechanically meaningful in the system. Anything that kept its name was just updated to the new text. So we're not keeping a feat that used to be named one thing, it's now named the same thing. There's not going to be a legacy version of it. If Paizo altered the feat, then we followed suit and we just errated that feat. Anything that was renamed but kept its mechanics essentially intact was renamed. There's a little bit of sort of fudge factor here where we sort of decided whether we were going to keep it as a separate thing or not. Longstrider is the example that we've been using since the very start. It was just renamed as Tailwind, and all the existing links to Longstrider now open Tailwind. This should be seamless for everyone, and you may have an old link that still says Longstrider on an actor, but when you click on it, it will open Tailwind because the link inside has not fundamentally changed. Anything that was renamed but has altered mechanics, we looked at those on each item. So if you look at something like Ignition, which is Produce Flame, well, there were mechanical changes, and both of those are technically still valid. So we kept it. Some things kind of straddled this line. For example, Meteor, Swarm, and Falling Stars. They're not the same spell, but Falling Stars does the same damage. It has a more flexible set of damage types. So Meteor, Swarm itself, you could, take Falling Stars and restrict the use of it. And we've done that before on NPCs where they'll say, it can do this, but only this type of damage, even though normally it can do a lot of things. If you look at something like Cone of Cold and Howling Blizzard, we took a different approach. Howling Blizzard is very similar to Cone of Cold, but there's more flexibility in how the spell is cast at the cost of losing some damage. So you might want the static version, you might not. In that case, we kept that, and that was sort of the guiding principle that we followed. There is a page on the system wiki that holds all the changes and removals. There were some things that were removed due to incompatibility. It's been discussed a little bit. The concept of ASMR and Tiefling now being Nephilim, there were feats that we removed just because they no longer make sense. They no longer fit, and it's fundamentally been changed. We contacted the Paizo design team, and they supported and recommended the way that we looked at it. So those ASMR and Tiefling feats, if you still want to use them, they are in the legacy content module. We're not taking it away. If it's on a character already, it's going to stay there. We're not forcibly removing it. And if you don't want to install the legacy module, but you want that one feat, you can just add it and make it yourself. It's the benefit of Foundry. So looking at things, the rule changes, here's the big ones. Alignment is gone. Spell schools are gone, other than Illusion, which is now sort of a spell school straight. And the spell components have now all been shifted. A bunch of languages were changed. We changed these in the system way back at 5.3. That shouldn't be any big surprise. And now we have lists that we've tried to tabulate nicely for you where things have changed. And we'll tell you whether it was renamed, replaced, and we'll give a link to the new items. If you have these old ones on, they're still going to work until you update your character. but you can replace it with the new ones and it'll sort of just work. Any of the new classes that you drag on will be using the new material, not the old material. So if you want to build an old character, then you're going to need an old copy of the class to do so. And at that point, you're looking at either building in a previous version of Foundry, or you're looking at the legacy content module for some help. And there goes rescue. Similarly, a bunch of the feats, some were changed, some have altered mechanics, so they may no longer exist, or they're now being brought back in place. And some are just simply removed. Like, it just no longer works with the system. It no longer makes sense. Same with spells. You can see which one's renamed, or if we merged. Again, if it was renamed, you simply have the link. If it was merged in with the previous one, still sort of happens. So merged spells are ones that are typically what you had before, plus more now. Equipment, same sort of idea. Mostly this is renaming of different things. Some of the names I like a lot better. I really like the name Wand of Shardstorm. That's just a personal thing. And right now there's nothing else to add in the other, but as we put more and more things in, we will let you know. So those are sort of the big changes that are going on, or what we've done. And hopefully it makes sense. Takale's done a really, really wonderful job on the Reddit post, and I think he might have even updated it if I remember right. So I think, I don't know if we pinned it or not. I'm sure we must have pinned it somewhere. In any case, our message, make a backup. Once this is out, feel free to install it. There are some functional changes. There's no really new features. And now I'm just going to scroll back and see what other questions there are in the chat. Will the variant rules in the GM core be part of the main system code? Possibly. We're going to take the exact same approach that we did before. If we can add in variant rules and make sure we can maintain them, we will, but we're focused on the core game. You know, Paizo's real approach to variant rules are their sort of official house rules. So they're house rules that Paizo has made. It sort of releases as a little bit of the obligation, but some of them are pretty cool. We'd like to have them. There's no guarantee that they'll always be there, but we will certainly do our best to include them when it makes sense. Otherwise, if there's something that you really want to be in the system, then by all means, feel free to help us out, contribute the code, and push it in, and we'll certainly consider it for inclusion. That's kind of how the system's built. If you want it, add it is the core. Otherwise, you can ask for it, and you'll unfortunately have to wait. Did Power Attack get new name? I think it's Vicious Strike now, if I remember right. Something like that. Will edicts and anathema have space on the character sheet, or does that need to be done manually in journals notes? I don't think we've added a spot particularly for them because they belong to the god themselves. The gods have been updated, so those sort of things are there. Although the best answer I can give you is I don't really know. I know that stuff is going to be changing because I know that things like Champion will be changing too. Yeah, Takale makes a good point. For anyone making a third-party module, if you've linked the UUID, then you're not truly responsible for it. You've passed a value to the system's filling in the blank. So if in your text you call it Longstrider, but the text as a replacement built within Foundry, and it now says Tailwind, then I don't know that you should be at any risk of any danger. If you link to an object that's no longer there, it'll kind of be broken, and it'll be up to you to sort of have it in the system yourself. Have we seen Paizo's Day 1 errata to their new errata books? I don't really understand the question, but yes, we've had the errata shared for a while it was work in process. We've been given advice as we've gone along, and some of the errata is because of questions that we asked internally. So I will say that we've been involved with that process. Paizo's been very collaborative with it, and they've really helped us understand the direction that they're going. I suppose I'll say that there's even some changes in the system that maybe you'll notice some things might be missing. We've had this on the guidance of Paizo, the direction that we've gone with some of these things. Uh, we've done at sort of their direction. I'm not going to say it's 100% firm because they can always change their mind, but that's how we decided upon things. Let's see, when is it coming out? Let us in, let us in. Soon. We want to make it as correct as we can. We're still going through checking, doing QA. Again, there's a standard to this product, and we want it to be very, very high. We feel that the best gamers in the world play Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and they deserve the highest quality, best product that we can put out. So if unfortunately it means you've got to wait a couple more hours, I'm sorry, but you deserve the best we can do. You know if they will update old modules like Bloodlord and Alkenstar? The answer to that is no. This was a discussion that we've been having with Paizo since about February. The problem is anything released under the OGL license is sort of viral, and it has to be released under the OGL. The line gets a little bit blurred in the middle, but essentially Paizo's taken the stance that they can't make ORC versions of old adventures because the adventures themselves were released under OGL, at least as best as I understand it. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to pretend to be Paizo's lawyer. This is just kind of what they explained to me. So going back and remastering old modules, it really can't be done. Any of the modules that haven't been updated can be played on the old system, but it should just work on the new system. If there's something that doesn't work quite right, that the system didn't migrate, then feel free to let Sigil know or let Foundry know, and they can let us know, and we'll see if we can accommodate it in the system. We're doing our best to keep everything compatible, but as you can probably imagine, it's a lot of moving pieces, and it's quite difficult. That's a good note from Takeo. We didn't rebuild the Iconics because Paizo hasn't rebuilt the Iconics. It doesn't make sense for us to do that. How is sanctification being handled? Will PCs have traits now? Yeah, that's really a question outside of our scope. Is the errata for old books in 5.9 or first later? No, everything's in. Every piece of errata that we've got has gotten sort of merged in. Will 5.9 come out with new features other than the remaster? Not really. Nothing that's going to be game changing or game breaking. Obviously, we spent the past week and a half really focusing on the remaster, and it's a lot of back end code changes. It's a lot of making sure things worked. I am not going to promise that everything works because, again, it's sort of a week and a half, and it was a lot of work and a lot of changes and a lot of last minute changes. Like I said, we were literally getting changes to implement up until 1 p.m. my time today, and for the record, it's now 7 o'clock. Are there any neat automations for any remaster changes? They just work. PCs have always had. That's not a question. Oh, the rule element validation. I guess I could show that. Let me see if I can pick one. I don't know. I guess I can just put it on something, can't I? Oh no, I don't want to delete it. Rules. Let's use a flat modifier. Oh, what did I do? So put in diplomacy, put nothing else in. It'll fix it for me. Take that away, give it a +1. It tells you that it can't be undefined. So it sort of helps you through not being able to, we'll say, get it wrong. It'll give you a warning instead of nothing, and then posting something up to the console. I guess the other thing that I can show off, we'll go and I'll toggle on one of the old modules. So DF Kirby Wall, as much as I like it, and it still works for me, technically has not been updated for this release. So you see that when I enabled it, it had yellow warning signs. Now when I turn it on, you'll get a warning that it's unmaintained and may cause stability issues with the game. Personal question: what's your personal favorite change in the remaster? Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I kind of like the way that Wizard's been restructured, and I really like the way that I can now talk about the fact that Wizard's been restructured. Everybody was so panicked about all of the changes that were happening with like damage being removed from cantrips because of the spellcasting modifier going away, and now that people see the full scope of what they've done with Wizard, I think it's really cool. It makes me want to want to play a Wizard even more than I already do. Ooh, TKL had a good answer. How the ancestry weapon feats changed. That's a nice one. I like also that a lot of those exceptions, like, oh, you're an expert in these very specific weapons, that all went away. Show off focus pool increasing as you add focus spells. I mean, yeah, that is a neat change. Because that is now kind of how it works. I wonder if I can just add Fire Ray multiple times and it'll work. Yeah, there we go. Because again, that's kind of how it works now. Admittedly, you wouldn't add Fire Ray multiple times. I'm just doing it because it's easy instead of looking up other focus spells. Now that spellcaster shares proficiency between traditions, or you're moving the way spells are sorted, how does that change the UI? Right now, we're not doing a whole bunch. It does mean that we can move ahead with some of the spell stuff that we've had planned for a while. It'll be easier. I will say we were waiting for the remaster because we knew there would be big changes. So we haven't touched a bunch of those changes internally in the system code, but we'll now be able to sort of move forward and get a little bit more. Am I going to promise that we will make it so that spellcasting entries auto-generate? Absolutely not. I am not promising that. Will more change when Monster Core comes out? Yes. Can you show more details on the proposed spellcasting changes? No. So there, those are the big ones that I have to show off. I will give a quick shout out because I like to talk about people who are involved with the community. First, I use Michael Gelfi audio pretty well exclusively on my streams. I really like his work, and I'm happy to be able to sort of publicly announce, I guess, that he signed a contract with Paizo to provide, music for all the Paizo adventures, past, present, and future. That's a pretty cool deal. I'm really excited about it and seeing what he comes out with. I hope that he prioritizes a couple things, mostly what I'm running. But yeah, that's a cool announcement. And the other one is the map that I'm using tonight. I want to just highlight one of the people who works with the community. Demille's Wondrous Works, Patreon/DWW, has a bunch of really, really cool maps and things that change. So if you're looking for map packs, I just saw them post some of what they've created on the Foundry subreddit, and I was like, hey, do you want me to show off some of your stuff? Like, a lot of this is really, really neat, really, really nice art style, a little bit different than Paizo because sometimes I like to mix it up. Is there any automation to weakness to holy and unholy? Yeah, it works. Wait, music or just ambience and effects? No, music. Michael Gelfi will be doing music. The ambiences will still come with part of the adventure pass, as far as I understand. I think there's a couple of limited sound effects, but I don't think his sound effect library was part of that particular deal. I don't know. Better to ask him. I don't want to speak for him. How do mixed ancestries work? They're just ancestries. They've been renamed. I think what's I want to say what's I'd have to look up heritages. What is it? Dromar? So there's your new half orc, the Dromar. Oh, there you go. Andrew White's on from Paizo regarding the music. There'll be a blog post with an official announcement soon. What I'm going off of is I'm a Patreon for Michael Gelfi, and so he posted that out to his Patreon type peoples. Yeah, for champion type questions, that's going to be a Paizo thing. I know that more will be coming along with sort of monk questions in Player Core 2. I will tell you, we do not have any look at, we have not seen what that looks like yet. When we know more or when we get stuff from Paizo, we'll happily add it in. But right now, we just don't know. Oh. Apparently Shark wants me to... Oh. How much of a pass has been done on existing monsters since it will be a while before the new bestiary is available? That's a hard question to answer. We've made it so that weaknesses and resistances, that will all work. But editorializing the changes further than that, we've gone based on some guidelines, so things will happen. So you can see we've changed this now to spirit damage on the Baylor. I had a feeling I was going to get this question. So we've done what we sort of think is right. You'll see evil still there as a trait. Yeah. Feel is holy. I don't think that matters, does it? No, she doesn't have holy strikes yet. Is there automation for the champion on the PC traits? Yep. Or mixed heritage. It's homebrew. Any mixed heritages that haven't been released by Paizo, we only have what's in the system in the system. Okay, yeah, I guess I could do that. So here's what it looks like when you get the prompts. So actually, why don't I choose Torag? I know it's wrong, but I also know that this is Torag the one that works. I think Torag has both, doesn't he? So now you can choose Liberator, Paladin, or Redeemer, regardless of what the cause used to be. Any of the three are valid. We can still open up and take a look. Gorum, that's what I was thinking. Thank you. Let's go back down and pick a Gorum. I know we talked about this literally yesterday. So here you can pick any of the 6 alignments because Gorum is allowed to be either holy or unholy. He doesn't care. He just wants you to do what he does. Do I have any info on upcoming token art packs from Paizo? Nope. That is definitely not a system developer thing. Oh, as Nat says, that is a Foundry thing or a Sigil thing. Any of the commercial partners, they may have announcements, but I don't have any. I don't even think that I can have any that I'm not talking about right now that I know about. I think everything that I know about's already been out and released. So, like Nat says, stay tuned. I'm sure that the commercial partners will release information about upcoming products as soon as they have it. Okay. And there we go. Paizo teasing it. How has the witch changed? That's going to be really outside the scope of this particular stream. Significantly, and other people have covered it way better than us. It works in Foundry. Bramer Games, poke them. The first token pack was amazing. Yes, it was. I promise that everyone here's been bugging them about it. Found some broken links, and I was wondering if it's a common issue. Oh, that's for Kingmaker. Okay, with that, when does the Foundry update go live? Soon. Are special familiar abilities automated? No, not yet. That is one of Shark's stretch goals. I think it's one of the ones that we actually met. So I will switch us back over and remind people, Extra Life, donate. If we get up to $10,000 on Sharks, there's lots more cool stuff coming. So check out the team post. To Kale earlier in chat, posted the link to Sharks. If you donate to Shark and not to me, I'm totally fine with that. If you still want a coaster, let me know. I'll be starting to make them, well, probably in about a week and a half. I have to fly across the country next week, so I won't be home to start making coasters, but anyone who wants them, they kind of look like this. And if you did over $100, let me know if you would like the alternate version, which will say Tiklo's Heroes on the bottom. So with that, thank you all for being awesome. Again, I was super honored to get this today. So thank you all for making all of our fundraising so absolutely amazing. I'd have to go back and look, but I think we're well over $25,000 total across the 3 years. It would be amazing to get to $30,000, $10,000 a year for children's hospitals, just from a community effort. All of you make it worthwhile to be a part of this, to be able to do so much good in the world. So, thank you, and thanks to Paizo for enabling us to create a system that allows us to do things like this. So with that, of course, if you have more questions or concerns, feel free to drop them on the Discord. If you want to say we're great, we would love to hear it. If you want to say we're awful, we'll probably just delete it from the Discord. With that, have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you all soon.